Alright, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, another NBA playoff video. In this video, we're going to talk about game twos, round twos. We're going to talk about Knicks versus 76ers. We're going to talk about Spurs versus Timberwolves. We're going to talk about Pistons versus Cavaliers. And we're going to talk about Lakers versus OKC. We are going to talk about Lakers OKC first because I have thoughts about that game, and then we'll get back into what we normally do, go through every game from start of when they started to catching you guys up to now. Also, some house cleaning things, housekeeping, cleaning, whatever you want to say. The WNBA season is starting today when this video goes out this Friday. So the schedule is going to be a little busy. It's going to be a little jam packed. You guys are going to get videos whenever I feel like making them, essentially. Obviously, I'll try to keep you guys updated with the NBA playoff stuff because that's my main priority right now. That's my first priority, but you guys will get WNBA stuff in between those videos, and hopefully you guys enjoy that stuff as well. Also, another thing, the recording software that I use, that everybody uses to make content, OBS, it just loves to mess with you sometimes, and it messed with me because I was wondering why my audio sounded a little different. I couldn't figure out why, and like I had updated it, and I was like, why isn't it picking up the mic? It sounded a little bit different, and it was using my computer mic instead of the actual mic I have. So if you notice a difference, I'm back on the mic, the actual mic, and hopefully it sounds better. I tested it out. I did a couple 1-2 1-2s and listened to it. It does sound a little bit better, but yeah. So that's what's going on my end. Um, let's just jump right into this, man. So, like I said, we're gonna go through this. Ooh, hopefully, I played a dangerous game right there. um, I had the volume all the way up. I almost blew your guys' ears out. Um, let's talk about Lakers versus Oklahoma City, and we're not even really gonna talk about this game. Well, like in depth, because I just have external thoughts about this game. Oklahoma City won this game 125 to the Lakers 107. As you can see in the bottom right there, the pictures of the game. Jared McCain had a really big game. JJ Redick lost his mind this game, and then Austin Reeves talking to the refs right there. And the thoughts I have, man. The thoughts I have. So let's start with just some overview things. The Lakers played a very good game. They tried their hardest, man. They tried very hard. They really did. It was a really good 3 quarters for the Lakers. It was spectacular. I mean, LeBron didn't play. He did all he could. 23 points, nine of 18 from field goal, 1 of 4 from three, 3 turnovers, 6 assists, 2 rebounds. Austin Rui Hachimura at 16. Austin Reeves had a great bounce back game from his disastrous game before, and then his sort of slow start coming back from injury at 31. Marcus Smart had 14. And I was watching this game, and I found myself rooting for the Lakers. And I'm an impartial party. I don't really care who wins. I sort of want just the best matchup possible from everybody, you know? Like I said in my last video, I think the Spurs winning their series against the Timberwolves would be the best outcome because Oklahoma versus Spurs. Spurs is the only team that could probably beat this Oklahoma City Thunder team. So I just want good basketball. And what happened last night in Oklahoma, I don't dare to say I know, and everybody knows that watches basketball. That was not basketball. Um, it was an awful game to watch. That there were so many things that went on during this game. There was like a couple scuffles. There was just an abundance of things that made this game unwatchable. And I watched it just because it was like a train wreck. You just couldn't look away. And I believe the numbers were, I can't find the tweet, but the numbers were indicative of this in that the Lakers are up, right? I think this was like end of the third, middle of the third. And then for 6 straight minutes, Oklahoma City took 14 free throws. And that's not where it began. That is where it got to the the apex essentially, where throughout this whole game, Oklahoma City was flopping. The only guy who wasn't flopping was Jared McCain. It was, I'll say this, it was disgusting to watch. I'm not Oklahoma City Thunder hater by any means. I think when they do play basketball the right way, it looks great. It's amazing. You know, when the ball's moving, when they get in transition, they're one of the best teams in transition. Their defense, when they play defense the right way, is amazing. And the flopping and all this other antics take away from that greatness that Oklahoma has. And everything about them right now to me feels so fabricated and so awful because you have in this game, just off my memory, you have guys like Chet Holmgren, a 7 footer, flopping, faking a call, faking something to get the ref's attention, and they call it. You have guys like Jalen Williams, Jayln Williams, doing the same thing, just flopping, taking a three, just to get the foul called. And then you have, I've never said this about Shea, but I'll say it now because it was awful last night. The king of flopping in Shea, just flopping around all night. And game one, there was some calls like you were like, ugh, this again. But last night, it was on full display that this is not how you play basketball, and it made me so upset because I'm not a LeBron fan, but you could see LeBron, and LeBron was just like losing his mind. Like he was going into like a psychosis of some sort, where he was just like, "What? Like I'm getting hammered on every drive to the basket, and you're not calling it, you know?" But like you breathe on an Oklahoma City Thunder player, they get a call, and this was very evident. Everybody was talking about it last night, and it was deplorable and it was disgusting. And this was not basketball. What happened last night in the second half for Oklahoma was not basketball. It was just a flop fest. It was something that I don't ever want to see again. Um, and in the grand scheme of things, I try to think about this Oklahoma City Thunder team in the best possible way. Because again, I'm trying to be neutral. I'm trying to be like an impartial watcher of these games, right? And I found myself being so upset for LeBron because LeBron has been playing basketball since he was 18, since he playing professional basketball since he was 18, 19 years old. And now he's 41. And I think he's just too old and knows too much about basketball to be putting up with this bullshit. I genuinely do. I just think eh, I said this to somebody I was talking to last night. I was like, if I was LeBron after this game, I would just tell everybody I'm retiring, and that would be it. Because like something has to be done, something has to be said, something really impactful has to happen for Game 3 of Oklahoma versus Lakers. Because it was not pretty, and the refs were going to the monitor every like 2 to 3 minutes checking for technicals, checking for fouls, doing this, doing that. And sometimes it was to the Lakers' benefit, but most of the time it wasn't. It was to Lakers' detriment. And you could see head coach JJ Redick, who I have an immense amount of respect for, as a not just as a coach, but as a basketball mind. And you could tell he was upset. Um, it was just something that uh, I'll say this as well. Uh, it's just inevitable at this point that I'm not conceding this point, but it's inevitable that Oklahoma's going to win whatever game they want to win if they choose to win it, just by brute force, just by going at the other team. But the refs don't help anybody but Oklahoma. And with the Lakers being so overmatched, you think if you watch the first half, you're like, oh my God, the Lakers are actually playing really well. They're doing everything they should. Austin Reeves is having a good game. LeBron is having an okay game. Rui's having an okay game. They might be able to win this. They might be able to at least go to overtime and maybe sneak one away in overtime, like they did in their last series versus Houston. They had an overtime game. And when it got to that point where it looked like Oklahoma was in danger, the refs came to save them. And it's something that I don't care how many championships Oklahoma wins. This is one of the most fabricated dynasties I've ever seen. And I, I've been critical of a lot of championship teams in the past. This might mayhaps be the worst one of the 2020s. It's just not fun to watch. I mean, the best moments of this Oklahoma City Thunder game, specifically for Oklahoma, was watching Jared McCain go off. That was my most enjoyable part of watching Oklahoma last night. Nothing else that they did made me go like, oh, nice, made me smile, made me laugh, made me happy. It was Jared McCain going off, and I, I just think if the league does try to correct this, it's going to be an overcorrection, and that's sad. That's upsetting, but this cannot go on. I would rather have an overcorrection than what's happening right now for Oklahoma, because no people already make fun of the NBA. Nobody watches the NBA anymore. Who cares about the NBA? They're all soft. They all flop around. If somebody turned on this Lakers versus Oklahoma City Thunder game, they would be proven correct. They would be proven correct. They would have all the ammo they need to say this is why I don't watch the NBA. And I know guys up top, Adam Silver, whoever, don't care. They don't care. They just care about putting ads. They care about their TV deals and whatever, and they don't care who wins. They want Oklahoma to win because it'd be another dynasty, and we haven't had a dynasty in quite some time. The last one was actually the Warriors. And speaking of the Warriors, the Warriors did some interesting things when they were on their championship runs. People would talk about the illegal screens they set. People would talk about, um, the team itself being built the way it was when they had Kevin Durant. It's unfair that you're able to have all these stars. I give Oklahoma a lot of credit for building their team through the draft, but the actual product that has devolved, they haven't evolved, they've devolved from this really young, exciting team that everybody liked to this insufferable, awful, flopping team is just, I've said it already, disgusting. And to add insult to injury, this is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, reigning MVP, talking about on being more physical, on the topic of being more physical team against the Lakers. He said, and I quote, the way basketball works, usually the more physical team and the team that imposes their will just wins more. And Shai, you would be correct. But when you're able to play an illegal type of defense, hurt players, drag players, Shai almost dislocated Austin Reeves' arm, and he did get penalized for that, but this quote just stinks, and Shai stinks, and everything about Oklahoma stinks right now. And if this wasn't my job, I would probably never watch Oklahoma City Thunder play basketball because this game just made me, I won't say upset again, but just it made me not like basketball. And it's very hard for that to happen because I really do like basketball. It made me not like basketball. And it made me think maybe I should get into another sport. Maybe I should just do something else. Here we are, and you get to hear me ramble and complain about this awful, this I can't think of any other words, but just disgusting Oklahoma City Thunder team. And something else that happened during this game: LeBron arguing with his old teammate Alex Caruso, who was a Laker at one point. Now he's in Oklahoma. After another missed call on the other end, LeBron said, and I quote, "Every freaking call, Alex Caruso. F that. I don't want to hear that shit." Yeah. I agree with LeBron, and I never thought I'd agree with LeBron. uh, man, I just need to get that off my chest because I'm not going to talk about the game. I'm not going to talk about Oklahoma. I'm just not. There's no point. Nobody likes them outside of Oklahoma, and if you do like them, you don't like real basketball. So there's that. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, but that's the truth. Them's the breaks, and yeah, let's move. Let's rewind. Let's go back to the future, and talk about a much better game from a couple days ago, or one day ago, more than 24 hours ago. Um, New York Knicks versus the Philadelphia 76ers. The New York Knicks won this game 108 to the Philadelphia 76ers 102. And my first note of this game was Karl Anthony Towns just got so beat up this game. He got he got thrown to the ground. He fell to the ground maybe like 8 times, 7 times in like the first 2 quarters. It was ridiculous. And every time he went down, it looked like he got hurt. It looked like he got injured. And he ended the game with 20 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, almost a triple double. 6 of 8 from field goal, 1 of 1 from three. A really solid game from him, but I was convinced after that first half he was he was gonna get hurt or something, and he just I felt bad for Cat. It was not something that you want to see happen to a guy that big, especially. But continuing on in this game, um, the Knicks had controlled game one essentially, and the Philadelphia 76ers came out and they were trying to even the series 1-1. They were balling at one point, even had a commanding, not commanding, a sizable lead of sorts. Um, the Knicks bench on defense wasn't particularly great. Um, the main one that stuck out to me was Jordan Clarkson. Jordan Clarkson just got blown by so many times, and he missed so many. Like his guy, he just got blown by, and it was on like backdoor cuts. He would get blown by in transition, and Jordan Clarkson was never known as a defender. I feel like at some points during the regular season, he got with the program and became a serviceable defender. But man, like if it was Maxi for the Sixers, if it was VJ, if it was anybody else that was kind of smaller on the faster side, Jordan Clarkson wasn't catching him. He would just give up. He'd be like, "Yeah, no, I'm good." Speaking of small guys, the Sixers ran a little bit of small ball in this game with, I believe, Kelly Oubre at the five. That wasn't half bad. I kind of liked it, but I feel like small ball, as much as I like it personally, I feel like it's not as effective as it used to be in years past because teams have prioritized length, they prioritize switchable defenders, and even when you run small ball against a team like the Knicks, who possibly could run very tall ball with Mitchell Robinson and Cat, even just Cat being out there at the five, even though he is a bit clumsy, Cat is not a bad defender if he just stands straight up and keeps his hands to himself. Once he starts dipping his hands into like other people's pockets, that's when he gets called for those stupid fouls, and that's why we've been complaining about it all year. But the small ball wasn't half bad for the Sixers team. It helped them a little bit, and then we got to the I believe this is after halftime. Yeah, this was after halftime for sure. Um, the largest lead of the game, just to give context for what the back and forth was, how again, well, to get to my point later on, how many minutes Paul George and Maxey had to play. The largest lead for the Knicks in this game at this point, after halftime, was 4 points. So this is very back and forth. The Philadelphia 76ers do not want to go home to Philly empty-handed, and yeah, I'll give Maxey a lot of credit. He played 47 minutes, basically the whole game. 26 points, 9 of 23, 1 of 6 from 3, 6 assists, 6 turnovers, 3 rebounds. This is what Maxey has to do, and I've been very critical of him in these moments where I would love him to be more efficient. I would love him to have a better shot diet, better shot selection, but I can give him a pass for this game. This game, he tried his hardest, and I'll give Paul George some credit too. He played 43 minutes, the most minutes he's played um, in a long time. He had 19 points, 7 of 8 from field goal, 5 of 13 from three, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals. I don't want to say these were the only guys that showed up, but these were the only guys that were really impactful and kept the team in the game. VJ Edgecombe had some okay moments, 17 points for him, and Kelly Oubre had 19 as well. My next note, getting into crunch time, was Tyrese Maxey trying to do it all, and it wasn't working. And as we talked about with the refs in Lakers Oklahoma, I do think Maxey got hit on some of these drives to the basket, and he was complaining to the refs, not in like an abrasive way, but just like begging them to like look at it and like see like I got fouled. Like he was upset with the refs, and uh, I'll give him credit when it's a game this close and you lose by what is that? Um, less than what, 9 points. Yeah, less than nine. Yeah, uh, those missed calls could have ended up being something that this game could have gone to overtime. This game could have come down to the last shot for the Sixers, and the refs kind of messed it up. And I think Maxey is going to be one of these players that, as we get deeper in his career, he's going to get more of these calls. But as it stands right now, he's still not getting these calls, and I can see why he's upset. Getting to the end of the game here, the actual like ending of the game. OG Anunoby um, went out with an injury. It was reported later on that it was a hamstring injury. There was also some whispers that he injured his hand during this game as well. So OG's kind of banged up at this point. Miles McBride stood in for him at the end of this game. Did some okay things. 1 point, one assist, one rebound, 4 points. Took one three, took four threes, made one. Just stood in for OG. Not necessarily terrible, but not necessarily great. Um, at the end of this game, the rest were ended up being bad for both sides. It was just, I don't want to say it was unwatchable, but it was just like, you got to start cleaning this game up because it's getting out of hand. People are hitting the floor, people are getting fouled, and you're not calling it. You need to clean it up a little bit. Um, and again, props to Maxey and Paul George for the Sixers for trying and trying not to go home empty handed. But when Karl Anthony Towns has 20, when OG has 24, Mikal Bridges has 18, when um, Jalen Brunson has 26, you're not going to win that game. That's almost all their primetime scores with 20 plus points. So you lose this game um, as the Sixers, and you win this game as the New York Knicks to take a lead going down to Philadelphia from New York. That the series lead is 2-0. So we'll see what they can do there. And then moving on to the San Antonio Minnesota game. I joined this game about halfway through the second quarter because I was finishing up Knicks versus 76ers. But like the maybe the 2 minutes that I saw of the first quarter, a little bit of it because I had it like on the multi view. It was back and forth. There was still some remnants of that really not convincing. What's the word I'm looking for? Very, we'll use the word interesting. How about that? Very interesting game one that the Timberwolves had versus the Spurs. There was still some lingering stuff for them that was very positive. But the Spurs open up a lead to start the second um, quarter. Ant looks like he's still in a funk as Wemby looks more comfortable. And the story of this game was really, I think the Timberwolves settled this game. They definitely settled once it looked like San Antonio was on a roll and they had it going. They kept their players in as long as they could. I mean, almost all their starters played almost. I mean, Julius 30, almost 30, Terrence Shannon almost 30, Rudy Gobert almost 30. Um, where is he? Anthony Edwards came off the bench, but he almost played 30. They kind of conceded this win to the Spurs, even though the Spurs did work very hard for it. It was on the back of a rejuvenated Victor Wembanyama coming off that disappointing game one where he played bad as well. It was a whole team effort playing bad. um, 19 points for Victor, 15 rebounds, only 2 blocks this game, but 1 steal and 2 assists to go with that. And yeah, I really, it's been interesting this whole playoff run because maybe it's just because I'm watching it more, but like these teams sort of like, I don't want to say give up earlier than they usually do, but they sort of given up when they know a big run isn't happening or the other team's defense is just so suffocating. They just kind of wave the white flag, and especially in a game two for the Timberwolves when you're like, oh, we just go back home and you know deal with the consequences of this game that we lost. We split the games of San Antonio, whatever. Um, there were some concerning things with some of the role players. I mean, uh, uh, these guys aren't going to play big minutes in hopefully any other game because they'll be close games. But like Kyle Anderson was out there, former San Antonio Spurs, by the way, kind of eh. Naz Reid, kind of eh this game as well. Ayo played 10 minutes, 0 points. I'm not sure. I don't think he got injured or anything during this game. I don't think he did. Um, Bones Highland, I don't know if Bones is going to be able to play in the series if he isn't scoring. Bones was getting eaten up. He was getting eaten up by everybody. And if I was Coach Chris Finch, I'm taking Bones out. Unless Bones can give me like a quick 10 points and he can prove he can be out there, I'm not keeping him in the game. The minutes without Wemby and Fox after not the Spurs, the Timberwolves sort of were kind of like again like waving the white flag, but still sort of in this game. Um, the minutes without Wemby and Fox in that time when it was uh, Ron Harper and Stephon Castle, amazing. Absolutely sensational. Um, I really like that backcourt, and I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna take the stuff I said about Dylan Harper back uh, from the draft last year. I said Dylan Harper was. I think I said Dylan Harper wasn't ready. Like he was a lot of work. I didn't like I didn't like that he wasn't on a competitive team in college. You know, because he was at Rutgers and that was a whole mess. Um, but he's proven he's everything he was advertised and then maybe a little bit more as a rookie. And he really helped the Spurs team this game, and he's helped them in the second half of the season was great, and a little bit in the he had some moments in the Portland series previous to this one. Um, really amazing stuff from Harper and Castle. The Spurs get a win at home, get back on track after running up the score in the second half. Um, I said in this series, in my like preview of this series a little bit, that there was going to at least be one scuffle, and there was. There was a little bit of a scuffle in this game. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't a full-on fight, but there was a little bit of a scuffle. And my last note for this game was this is gonna be so funny. Joe Ingles got in the game. Yes, old man Joe Ingles got in the game, and I said Joe Ingles is in the game. Yeah, it's over, and he was in the game like almost the whole fourth quarter. So yeah, the game was over essentially. Uh, and yeah, I don't have any more notes from this game. I mean, this was not an inspiring game for the Timberwolves, even if you did split the games in San Antonio. 12 points for Randall, 12 points for McDaniels. Could not hit a three. None of the starters except Mike Conley hit a three. That's insane, actually. Mike Conley hit the 1-3, and that was his only points of the night. 3 points. Terrence Shannon, 12 points. Joe Ingles, 2 of 3 from 3 in garbage time. Nas, 3 of 4 from 3. Yeah, they shot 30%. They took 33s as a team and made 9. Wow, I didn't know it was that bad. And then the Spurs took 39, made 16 of them, and shot 41%. Wow. uh, amazing stuff. Uh, for the for the Spurs, just to run through the numbers: Julian Champagnie 12, Victor Wembanyama 19, De'Aaron Fox 16, Devin Vassell 10, Stephon Castle 21, and then Harrison Barnes 12. Harrison Barnes had a nice little moment where he had a couple shots and the team was hyping him up and everything. So yeah, Spurs win the game 133 to the Minnesota Timberwolves 95, and then we move on to Detroit versus Cleveland. And this was a close game. I want to make this very clear at the start of this. This was a close game. I was watching this game out of the corner of my eye. Not really taking a lot of notes, to be quite honest. But what I did witness was what I've been saying all playoff long, which is the amount of what almost a dozen games for the Cavaliers at this point, right? Right? Almost a dozen games? Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it doesn't play. Yeah, yeah, right. Am I losing my mind? Who did they play? Who did they just play? They played. Oh my God, I'm losing my mind. Who did they just play? They played the Raptors. Yeah. So, not a dozen. Yeah, almost a dozen games. Yeah, I'm losing my mind. I'm sorry. Um, what I did witness out of the corner of my eye, and what I've been saying all playoffs long, this playoff run, James Harden, where are you? I feel like you could insert this clip into any time within the past like 6 years, and it would be accurate. James, where are you, buddy? Where are you? You're the midseason acquisition. You are the Darius Garland replacement. They got rid of somebody who was significantly younger, who was significantly less healthy, but the Cavs fell for it. The Cavs fell for it. Um, I said this in another video. James Harden literally just saves Donovan Mitchell dribbles. That's what he does. That's his prerogative all playoffs long is let me just bring out the ball so Donovan doesn't have to, and then I just pass it off to him, and then whatever happens, happens. And I find it so hilarious because if you start watching the game like that, it's true. It's so freaking true. And it doesn't help when that's your job essentially and you have 4 turnovers and you go 0 of 3 from 3 and you're 3 of 13 from field goal and you only have 10 points and you play 37 minutes. Yeah, it's not great. I'm gonna beat a dead horse because why not? But this happens every playoff run, and I don't know why every team just assumes, yeah, we're gonna fix James Harden at whatever years old, 30 something, mid 30-year-old James Harden. We're gonna fix him. He's gonna be good for us in the playoffs. I said this before as well. In my recollection, the only time that James Harden actually like impressed me in the playoffs was that one game when he was a Philadelphia 76er when Joel Embiid missed the game and he went nuclear. He had a really good game. And then when he had the hamstring injury in Brooklyn and he didn't play well, but at least he played. He played through it and he tried to like help the team. This is another downfall. Another disappointing playoff run for James Harden and I think I don't think I gave a prediction for this series. I don't give predictions as a whole anymore. I don't like doing that because it's very hard to do and all that stuff. But I knew one thing was going to be true. James Harden was not going to play well, and if this Cavaliers team was going to rely on Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and maybe the occasional okay Jared Allen game, which he has had some pretty good games back to back. Um, or yeah, back to back. Yeah, back to back. 22 points this game, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, only 1 turnover. Played 31 minutes. Um, I don't know what to say about the Cavs that I haven't already said. Their starting lineup sucks. I'm gonna just say it sucks. Uh, Dean Wade. I've said this almost every Cavs video. Why is he starting? 23 minutes, 8 points, 2 of 4 from three. Why are we why are we doing that, Coach Kenny Atkinson? Why are we doing this? Why aren't we adjusting the rotation? You did it. You started Max Strus in at the end of the Toronto series that you played last series, and he helped a lot. Even if he didn't score, he just helped. He was doing stuff out there. Dean Wade just doesn't do stuff. He comes in, hits 2 threes, and just stands around. And there was this clip floating around of it was Donovan Mitchell and Dean Wade in a pick and roll, right, on the defensive end. So they were in the action, right, getting screened and whatever. Donovan Mitchell doesn't fight over the screen, assuming Dean Wade is gonna just go under the screen and get to the shooter. There was such a miscommunication. You could see Dean Wade just exhale and just put his hands at his side, like, oh my god. And he's just had enough. I don't know at what point in the game that was, but it must have been very early on because he was already fed up. um, and again, this is an overreaction. I had a couple of overreactions in the last video I made about the playoffs. What's next for this Cavs team if they don't make it to the conference finals? Because 3 out of the 4 teams that are left need to make it to the conference finals. Um, what is this? Oh, okay. Um, need to make it to the conference finals. And if they don't, it's a failure. If the Knicks don't make it, it's a failure. If the 76ers don't make it, it's a failure. Um, if the Cavs don't make it, it's a mega failure. If the Pistons don't make it, they don't really have a lot to lose. They're still a young team. I mean, you would expect the number one seed, the number one team in the East to make the conference finals, but if they don't, it wouldn't be abnormal, even though, they're the better team in this series. It wouldn't be abnormal to see that because the Cavs are a bit more experienced at this point. But the doomsday scenario for the Cavs is looming. And if they split these games at home and they have to go back to Detroit, even though they played quite well in this game, I feel like there's going to be some demoralization because James Harden isn't a leader. He doesn't lead his guys. Maybe like on the floor he leads them, but like he can't rally the troops. What is he gonna say? I've been here. I've been down 3-1. Yeah, we know, James. And you haven't shown up. James at this point in his career has to lead by example. He can't just, puff smoke into the air. He has to go out there and do it, you know? And Donovan Mitchell, I like Donovan. I think everybody kind of gives him a pass, but that pass is starting to wane, and you're gonna need to start doing something, Donovan. I know you put up 31 and you're trying, but it's not a great look. It's definitely not a great look. Evan Mobley played poorly this game. I mean, I'm a big Evan Mobley fan, so I don't want to say anything too damning, but Evan's given it his all these last couple games, and this is the first really bad one, I think, right? Like if I go look at his game logs, I think this is the first really like single digit awful game. Yeah, I don't know. This is like the third. This is like the third one in a row. This is the norm actually. The outliers are these Toronto games where he's like 26, 25, 23, 17. Mm. Evans regressing back to the mean rather than right the mean. Yeah, regressing to the standard rather than exploding upwards, which he should be doing in the playoffs. Um, I don't have a lot of notes outside of that for the Cavs. I mean, the first play, like one of the first plays of this game, Donovan Mitchell like dices up Tobias Harris and like ruins his hip or like his hamstring. Tobias Harris goes down like he just like his whole hamstring just fell off the bone. He comes back in the game though, and that was the only like moment where for the Cavs I was like, whoa, whoa. There were some moments leading into the second half and the end of the game where the Detroit Pistons sort of did let the Cavs back into this game, but I never felt like they were in trouble. I never felt like they were out of control. Tobias Harris continues his really good stretch, 21 points this game, 2 of 3 from 3. Duncan Robinson, 17. Jalen Duren, similar to Evan Mobley, just kind of regressing in the playoffs, even though he has a couple standout games. They're few and far between at this point. Cade Cunningham, 25. Asor Thompson, 10 points, 7 rebounds. Um, and then Dennis Jenkins off the bench, 14 points for the Pistons. Um, let's go this far, right? Will the Pistons sweep the Cavs? I don't know. I think what happened this game was sort of demoralizing for the Cavs, and as a team who's been through a lot in the last 12 months, let's say, maybe 20 months, right? A roster turnover. The team you had at the beginning of the year is not the team you have right now. Um, you have guys like Keon Ellis, Jalen Tyson, Dennis Schroeder, who you bring in at the trade deadline, and you expect to play some like meaningful minutes and play some meaningful basketball, and they really haven't done it. And Coach Kenny Atkinson needs to do something, and I've been begging for him to do something since the Toronto series, where it's like you need to change up this lineup. If it Jared Allen's the second best player right now on this Cavs team, but you need to bring him off the bench, play Evan Mobley at the 5, bring in some more athletic guys because like Dean Wade isn't cutting it. Um, my solution in my mind, even though it sounds crazy, is like just throw out like Max Juice and Keon Ellis out there and just try something because the 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 Pistons obviously have your number and they're not going to let up. Even though they did let up in this game, Coach JB Bickerstaff isn't going to let his guys just waste away a game because they've already been through a 7-game series with the Magic. If this series goes any longer, that's going to be 2 series that go 5+ games. There is no world in which the Pistons just kind of wither away before before the Cavs. The Cavs would rather wither away before the Pistons in this series, and do with that information what you will. But yeah, that's gonna be it. I've rambled a little too much in this video, but the Detroit Pistons win this game 107 to the Cleveland Cavaliers 97. And for these series, the Pistons are up 2-0 versus the Cavs. The Knicks are up 2-0 versus the 76ers. And Oklahoma City is up 2-0 versus the Lakers. And the Timberwolves are tied with the Spurs, one apiece, 1-1 for the series. All these series shift locations, and we'll see if anything will change. Yeah, that's it. That's the video. Like I said, videos are kind of be all over the place, especially this weekend. And then heading in next week, I'll see if I can clean it up a little bit. But you guys will get a ton of content, so I don't think you guys are upset with that. So yeah, the end screen should be playing right now. Check out the video on the left, check out the playlist on the right. My little icon in the middle, if you click that, a little subscribe button will pop up next to it, and you can subscribe with ease and keep up with NBA playoff stuff and WNBA opening weekend and regular season stuff. Like and comment as well, and I will see you guys next time. Cheers.